The extraterrestrial alien who was buried with Christian honors, according to claims. People left him flowers and souvenirs, but the authorities questioned this. In the early morning of April 17, 1897, 50 years before the alleged Roswell incident, and 6 years before the Wright brothers' first flight, something strange happened in the small town of Aurora, about 30 miles northwest of Fort Worth, Texas. An alleged alien spacecraft crashed and its pilot was killed. He was then given a Christian burial. People who believed in aliens visit his grave daily, even today. They leave him flowers and various souvenirs. However, the authorities dispute the event to this day. It all seems to have started with some testimonies in a Dallas Morning News article in the April 19, 1897 edition. According to all of this, a cigar-shaped flying object was seen falling from the sky when it crashed into a windmill and exploded. They said it was like an airship, but it was not of this world. The pilot of the craft was thought to be a Martian because at that time the theory of the Italian astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli about the Martian irrigation canals on the red planet was already widespread. It was not difficult to combine and speculate that the craft was from Mars and therefore its pilot. It was written at the time very characteristically about the alleged event. The papers found on it, eventually the record of its travels, are written in some unknown hieroglyphics and cannot be deciphered. The vessel crashed too badly to draw any conclusion as to its construction or motive power. It was made of an unknown metal which looked somewhat like a mixture of aluminum and silver and must have weighed several tons. The city is full of people today who are looking at the wreckage and collecting samples of the strange metal from it. The pilot's funeral will take place tomorrow at noon. The locals named the alleged alien Ned, N-E-D, and reportedly decided to bury him with Christian rites in the nearby Aurora Cemetery. Over the years, Ned's story has become increasingly well known, as curiosity is a major factor in the spread of such news, especially when it involves an alien pilot who is said to be buried in the town cemetery, and everyone wants to see him. Many researchers have investigated the story for years, testing water from the well where the debris was supposedly stored, pulling stuck metal from trees at the crash site in evidence that something had exploded. In the 1970s, they even tried to exhume the remains to see if there was actually anyone buried in Ned's grave. However, according to the laws there, and the grave was Christian, no exhumation can be done without the approval of the next of kin. And because Ned was supposedly an alien, there was no next of kin to allow his exhumation. Eventually, the cemetery associated is said to have obtained a court order in 1972 to prevent the remains from being exhumed. At the Aurora Cemetery, there is a state historical marker out front, which notes this location is also known for the legend that a spacecraft crashed nearby in 1897, and the pilot who was killed in the crash was buried here. A little further away, there is a boulder marking the legend of Ned's grave. Many visitors come and leave various mementos, flowers, coins, a glass sled, and more. Could there be places where aliens are buried? Was there an alien pilot and a ship? Is there an alien buried in the cemetery? No, say Wise County historians who have researched the subject. Apparently, columnist S.E. Hayden, who first described the story in the newspaper, was a prankster and was believed. Perhaps the same newspaper wrote in April 2018 it was an attempt by the prankster to draw attention to a town forgotten by time and hit hard by an epidemic, just like the editor's family. Several people who lived in Aurora in 1897 later told historians that there was no crash. There may not even have been a windmill. As for the unknown metal that excited UFO fans, it was found to be an alloy used in the 1920s for pots and pans. Perhaps, unfortunately, the Dallas Morning News at the time seemed so interested in following up on what, if true, would have been the biggest news story in human history. Perhaps there is an alien buried there, according to those who believe the story of the crash and burial. No, there isn't, the authorities say categorically. In any case, the town of Wise County recently hosted a conference on UFOs, and the story, real or not, brings people in, and from a business perspective, this is good for the trade and marketing of the small town. A sort of museum has been set up for Ned, as well as shops selling souvenirs and mementos, books about UFOs, and even candy in the shape or face of an alien. And this was from information from the Dallas News. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.